All night, Esterhazy's candles burn down into their own grief, while Haydn writes like a man possessed. Every phrase is carved, not chosen. Every rhythm is demanded, not suggested. The quill scratches in relentless, measured bursts. The paper drinks ink like a witness signing a confession. Outside, the palace sleeps in velvet certainty. Inside, Haydn builds a spell that knows exactly who it is meant to bind, because long before the first note is played, Haydn has already seen the royal box in his mind, seen the figure who sits there like the sun behind an eclipse, watching all things and being watched by none. He writes with that shadow in his peripheral vision. He writes for him, against him, around him. When dawn finally arrives, Haydn sets the quill down with hands that shake only because they've finished holding the world in place. The symphony is ready, as if it had been waiting behind his ribs for years, pressing on his lungs, whispering, "Now, now, now!" The orchestra reads it once, and in that first reading, they understand this is not a symphony meant to please. This is a plan written in harmony, the quiet agreement of professionals who have decided to become more than employees. That evening, Esterhazy fills with perfume and silk, with laughter that believes it is permanent. The concert begins like any other concert at the palace. That is the first illusion. A silence takes the room as the musicians take their places. Chairs settle, instruments glint. The air seems to stiffen, as if the palace itself straightens its spine. And then, attention is pulled upward. In the royal box, the shadows deepen, and from that darkness a presence resolves into shape. Prince Esterhazy. Not simply seated, enthroned, a radiant giant shrouded in dimness, the kind of man whose stillness is a command. Candlelight catches the edges of his features, but refuses to fully reveal him, like the flames themselves know better than to stare. He does not greet anyone. He does not need to. The court orbits him without noticing they're doing it. Haydn stands at the helm, concertmaster, commander, conspirator. He does not look up at the prince for long. He doesn't have to. He can feel the weight of those eyes like a hand on the back of his neck. He lifts his bow, and the first movement detonates. It doesn't begin. It strikes. Sturm und Drang surges through the hall, controlled violence dressed in elegance. The violins slash, the basses grind. The whole orchestra unleashes a fury so structured it feels inevitable. It is anger given architecture, wrath made respectable. Across the room, you see the prince's reaction in the smallest ways. Because men like him do not display emotion, they permit it. At the first fierce unison, his chin lifts a fraction as if approving the discipline of the blow. When the development section twists and tightens like a vice, his fingers tap once against the armrest, an unconscious tribute to control. He enjoys power when it is orderly. The movement adheres to sonata form as expected. Exposition as declaration, development as siege, recapitulation as conquest. It ends not with relief, but with a kind of victorious pressure, as if the room has been pushed into a new shape. The prince offers the faintest nod, the kind given to an artisan whose work has entertained his evening. Haydn gives nothing back. The second movement arrives like mercy, soft, poised, almost tender, an opening that makes the court relax into the familiar fantasy that music exists to comfort them. Shoulders lower, breath returns, smiles reappear. Even the prince settles deeper into shadow, as if this is the part where the world returns to its proper obedience. Then the music begins to weep. Suspensions bloom, long, aching cries that refuse to resolve quickly, like someone holding back a sob in a room that punishes weakness. Each delay of harmony is a deliberate cruelty. Each unresolved moment is a question the palace isn't used to answering. The prince's reaction is subtle, but there, at the first truly lingering suspension, he stills, not relaxed now, listening, as if he senses something hidden under the velvet surface. The third movement doesn't ask permission. It arrives with a grin. A dance, yes, but a dance with insolence stitched into its hem. The basses place dissonances like pebbles under a royal foot, then resolve them at moments that feel wrong on purpose. The whole movement becomes a polite rebellion, the musical equivalent of bowing while making eye contact and refusing to look away. The audience laughs lightly at the liveliness, unaware of the language being spoken beneath it. The prince's eyes narrow, not in anger exactly, but in recognition. He knows mockery. He has used it. He hears it now, disguised in elegance, and it irritates him. His hand closes once, slowly, around the armrest. Just once. Haydn sees it in the corner of his vision, like lightning behind clouds. You ask yourself what Haydn could possibly have been thinking. Then the fourth and final movement begins, and the question changes, because now you feel it. The air has a tension that wasn't there before. The candles seem smaller, the hall feels too large and too fragile at the same time. The finale begins with control, quiet confidence, a familiar path the audience expects. The prince's posture loosens, ever so slightly. He thinks the story is returning to him. He thinks endings belong to the throne. And Haydn lets him think it. The music drifts toward what could be the final cadence, the tidy conclusion, the moment where applause is cued like clockwork. The audience leans toward that inevitability, ready to be satisfied, ready to be generous. That is when the illusion begins. Not with thunder, but with disappearance. At the moment the symphony could end, The first oboist reaches the end of his line. He blows out his candle, a tiny extinguishing, almost nothing. Then he rises and walks away. No one turns. No one sees him leave. Because Haydn has composed attention itself, the audience's eyes remain forward, their minds occupied by the thread of sound still unspooling. The prince watches the stage, not the margins. Men like him do not monitor exits. They assume the world remains where they have placed it. The second horn follows, candle out, gone. Bassoon, candle out, gone. Second oboe, candle out, gone. First horn, candle out, gone. The woodwinds and brass vanish in a sequence so graceful it feels ceremonial, like petals dropping in slow motion. Not a retreat, not a rebellion, simply the quiet enactment of something already decided. And through it all, the music remains intact. It does not stutter, it does not break, it simply thins, like fog lifting from a field. Now the strings begin their quiet retreat. Basses first, those foundation stones of the whole machine, stand, extinguish their flames and depart. Then the cellos, warm as human voices, walk away as if being released from duty. The violins follow in waves, first desks, then more, candle after candle going dark. The sound narrows, becomes intimate, becomes almost private, yet still the audience remains held in the spell. The prince remains still, listening harder now, not because he suspects anything, but because he is captivated by the strange beauty of restraint. He likes control, and this is control refined to a blade's edge. Finally, only those thankless inner voice heroes who always hold the line and rarely get thanked for it. They stay longer than anyone. They keep the foundation steady while the world empties around them, the violas. Then, at last, even they, candles out, gone. The stage is only Haydn, standing like a man holding a door shut against the whole palace. The music is so quiet the hall leans in without realizing it. The court becomes a single listening creature. Even the prince, shadowed, radiant, seems drawn forward by the thread, as if the sound itself has reached up and looped around his throat. Haydn's face is strained but controlled, not frantic, not pleading, resolved. He plays the final bars as if sealing a letter. He sets the violin down with reverence, like laying a sword on an altar. And then he turns and walks away. No flourish, no bow, no glance upward. He simply leaves, while the remaining line continues in the air, carried by the spell alone now. The audience stays enthralled, held in perfect stillness by the quiet miracle unfolding in front of them. They do not shift, they do not speak. In the royal box, the prince remains seated, watching the end of something he believes he owns, eyes fixed on the stage, satisfied, absorbed, unaware that obedience is walking out the back. Haydn steps into the wing where you wait, into the darkness beyond the stage lights, where the real world begins again. Only then does he allow himself a breath. His voice, when it comes, is soft, jovial on the surface, steel underneath.
Come, while the palace is still listening.